I'm using frozen wild-caught cod that I defrosted, but you could also use mahi-mahi or tilapia. Just make sure to pat your cod dry. I'm seasoning it with olive oil, salt, pepper, and oregano. I'm not using too much salt because I am adding in vegetable bouillon to the sauce. Make sure to flip the fish and season the other side. I've got about 1.5 cups of cherry tomatoes and I'm just slicing them in half. If you don't have cherry tomatoes, plum tomatoes are a good substitute as well. Finely dice half of a shallot, or if you don't have shallots, you can use half of a red onion. I've got some Kalamata olives and some Castelvetrano olives that I'm slicing in half, and I left some whole for garnish in my sauce. You want to use a good olive oil for this dish. This is the brand that I love and it's pretty accessible in stores. Add in the butter on medium heat and heat for about 2 to 3 minutes. Once the butter is fully melted, you'll add in your shallots or red onions and saute for about 2 minutes until they're translucent. I've got my handy dandy garlic crusher Frank here and I'm adding in my 4 cloves of crushed garlic and sauteing that for another 30 seconds. Add in the cherry tomatoes, white wine, and lemon juice, and let that simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes until the wine is cooked down and the liquid has evaporated a bit. You'll then add in your garlic powder, onion powder, and dried basil. I'm also adding in some Calabrian chili for a touch of heat, but you can replace this with red pepper flakes or leave it out altogether. You'll also add in your vegetable bouillon, let that combine, then add your cod fillets back in. Go ahead and add the olives around the edges, and you'll spoon some sauce over the fillets, and you're gonna cook this on medium heat and cover for about 5 minutes. Once the 5 minutes is up, I'm gonna go ahead and add in some fresh basil. I've got some fresh basil going on in the backyard, and we're gonna add that in and then cover and cook for an additional 5 minutes or until the internal temp reads 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure not to overcook the cod because it can get rubbery when it's overcooked and we don't want that. This dish is best served right after cooking. You don't really want to reheat it because the cod can get rubbery. A perfectly cooked cod is tender and flaky, and you've got that beautiful, beautiful sauce. I like to plate my cod over white or brown rice or even some cauliflower rice, or you can plate it with some veggies. And I love to add crumbled feta on top. It's optional, but I highly, highly recommend it.
Can't wait to eat this. In the words of Lola J, that is so, so good. Hope you guys like it.
Let's start by making our meatballs. In a large bowl, place 2 to 3 slices of white bread, depending on their size, with the crust removed, and add in the milk, combine, and then you're gonna add in an egg and mix well until fully combined. I'm using ground chicken and ground hot Italian chicken sausage, and I'm gonna grate in half a white onion. I'm sad to report that wearing sunglasses do not help when dealing with onions. Add in some soy sauce, onion powder, garlic powder, oregano, black pepper, and grated Parmesan cheese. Go ahead and give that a good mix until it's fully combined. And I like to use a large soup spoon to measure out my meatballs, but I do like them on the larger side. So feel free to make them whatever size that you prefer. These made about 22 meatballs. And a pro tip is I like to keep a bowl with water and a few ice cubes to keep my hands wet and cold when making the meatballs. This keeps them from sticking to my hand and makes it super easy to shape them. Once that's done, place them on a well-oiled baking sheet with parchment paper or aluminum foil and spray with oil and broil for 15 minutes, making sure to flip them halfway. Heat a large pan on medium-high heat and melt the butter. You're gonna add in the garlic and saute for a minute or until nice and fragrant. Turn the heat to medium and add in the flour. Cook the flour for 2 to 3 minutes or until it's slightly golden. Add in the beef stock and make sure to whisk away any clumps. And for my beef broth, I like to use the low sodium better than bouillon dissolved in water. I just find that it's way more flavorful than a regular store-bought beef broth. Go ahead and add in the heavy cream, and I'm also adding in some onion powder, Italian seasoning, and red pepper flakes. My Italian seasoning has red pepper flakes in it, so just make sure to check. If not, you can also leave out the red pepper flakes. I'm also adding in some Dijon mustard. I'm adding in some sliced cremini mushrooms, but you can use whatever mushrooms you like or skip it all together. You're gonna cover and let that simmer for 3 to 4 minutes. The meatballs are ready and they're nice and browned, so we can go ahead and add them to the sauce. Give them a nice toss so they're fully coated in the gravy, and then you're gonna cover and let that simmer on medium-low for about 4 minutes. Once that's done, I like to top it with some fresh chives, but you could also use some fresh parsley if that's what you have on hand. And just like that, we're all done and it's ready to serve, and look at that sauce. There are 2 ways that I love to serve these. One is over some garlic and chive mashed potatoes. And this is how my older son loves to eat them. The other way is over some egg noodles, and this is my favorite way to eat this dish. And the egg noodles only take like 7 minutes to prepare, so it's super easy for the weekdays and it makes this dish super quick to make.
The moment of truth. That is delicious. I love mine over egg noodles. But like I said before, mashed potatoes work just as great, especially with this delicious gravy. You're gonna love it. Let me know how you like it in the comments.
Let's start by making our sauce, and we're going to start with a 1/3 cup of water and add in some light sodium soy sauce, some dark soy sauce, sesame oil, fish sauce, sriracha, brown sugar, and cornstarch. We're going to give it a good mix until all of the cornstarch is fully incorporated and set it aside. I'm using both the white parts and the green parts of our scallions. Just give it a nice chop and...
Oh no!
Oops, man down. Chop it and set it aside. Add in some sesame oil and heat your pan on medium heat. I'm using organic grass-fed beef, but you can sub with ground turkey or ground chicken or even pork. And I just made a little space to saute the white part of my scallions for about 2 to 3 minutes. Mix in the scallions with the beef and add in the crushed garlic and ginger once the meat is mostly cooked. You're also going to add in some onion and garlic powder and saute for about 2 minutes. Turn the heat to medium-low and add in the sauce and saute for about a minute until it's fully incorporated. You're then going to add in the shaved carrots. I'm using pre-shaved carrots just to save time, but you can also just make it on your own. Saute for about another 2 to 3 minutes until all of the sauce is incorporated with the carrots. And I don't want to overcook it because I like the crunch that the carrots give this dish. And then you're going to top it with some fresh cilantro. If you do not like cilantro, you can definitely replace it with parsley. And I also added in some fresh basil. Top with your green scallions, cover, and remove from the heat. For the vermicelli, you can make it in the beginning or the end to make it quicker, but you just want to start with some boiling water. Place the vermicelli in a large, deep bowl, and you just need enough water to fully cover the noodles. You're going to give that a stir and let it sit for about 8 to 10 minutes until they're fully cooked like this. To plate my noodles, I like to plate it by starting with the vermicelli, and then I top it with my stir-fried beef, a generous serving. My kids do like to mix it all together, but this is how I like mine, with extra sauce, and then I top it with some more green scallions, and I love adding crispy garlic.
Can't wait to dig into this. Just bring it closer so I don't make a mess, but you guys won't judge me, right? I love vermicelli noodles. So I usually order a version of this when I go to Vietnamese restaurants, but the noodles are served cold. So I decided to do a little mishmash of it with some warm beef, and man, it's delicious. Bon appetit!
I'm using 1.5 pounds of large Gulf shrimp that I've peeled and deveined, but I am leaving the tail on, and I'm seasoning it with paprika and garlic powder and letting it marinate while I prep my other ingredients. I'm dicing half of a white onion, and I'm also crushing about 6 to 8 garlic cloves, just depending on their size. In a large pan, heat your olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter on medium heat until it's fully melted. I'm using 2 tablespoons here and then the other 2 tablespoons at the end to emulsify the sauce. Saute your diced onions for about 2 to 3 minutes until they're aromatic and translucent. You'll then add in your crushed garlic and saute for another 30 seconds to a minute. I made my own sazon seasoning, which is key to this dish, but you can also use the version in the store. It's sazon con azafran, but I just wanted to make it healthier. Add in the tomato paste and cook that down for about 2 minutes. Once that's done, you're gonna add in 1.5 cups of a light lager beer. This creates such a light and flavorful broth, and let that simmer for 3 to 4 minutes to cook the alcohol out and thicken the sauce a bit. I'm using peri peri hot sauce, which originates in Mozambique, but you can use any non-Tabasco style sauce. Add in the hot sauce, and this is a good opportunity to check for spice level or saltiness. Mine was perfect. Go ahead and add in your shrimp, and I also add in some chopped parsley and cilantro. I know that cilantro tastes like soap to some people, so if that's you, please feel free to skip the cilantro and you can just add in the chopped parsley. Give it a good mix and make sure all the shrimp are fully covered in the sauce, and you're going to turn the heat to medium-low and cover and let that simmer for about 2 minutes. The shrimp will be pink when done. You want to make sure not to overcook the shrimp and top it with some fresh lemon juice and get ready to taste this ridiculously delicious sauce. When served as an appetizer, it always comes with some nicely toasted bread like a country loaf or even some sourdough. You can also serve it as an entree over some white rice like I'm doing here, some pasta, or even some cauliflower rice.
Now, although I do love it over rice, my favorite is just literally breaking up some bread, dipping it in the sauce, and bon appetit. That is so good, guys. Let me know how you like it in the comments.
Start by cooking your spaghetti until al dente and make sure to reserve 1/2 cup of the pasta water. While the pasta is cooking, let's make our sauce. I'm roughly chopping 4 to 6 cloves of garlic depending on their size. Heat a large pan on medium-low heat. Add in some olive oil, the garlic, and I'm grating in 1/4 of a white onion, but you can also dice it. Saute the onions and garlic for about 30 seconds, then add in the red pepper flakes and saute for another 30 seconds. Turn the heat up to medium and add in the tomato paste and cook that down for about 2 minutes or until the paste develops a nice deep red color. You'll then deglaze the pan with your white wine and let that alcohol cook out of the sauce for about 3 to 4 minutes, and the sauce will reduce by a little. Add in salt, pepper, dried oregano, and onion powder, and add in the whole San Marzano tomatoes with the sauce, and just use your spoon to break the tomatoes apart into smaller pieces. I'm adding in some fish sauce, which is optional, but it gives it great umami flavors. I normally add in Kalamata olives or green olives, but I had black on hand, but feel free to experiment. I'm using tuna that's in olive oil, but you can also use canned salmon if you prefer. Just make sure to drain most of the oil and add the 2 cans of tuna. And it's totally okay if a little bit of the oil gets in, but you want to drain the majority of it before adding it in. When combining, just try not to break up the tuna. The consistency of the sauce is really nice when you have the larger chunks of tuna. Add your spaghetti back in and gently combine, and this is where you can see if your sauce is saucy enough, and you have that reserved pasta water if you want it silkier, but mine was perfect. I also like to top it with some freshly chopped parsley, and the finisher for me is fresh lemon zest. It really brightens up the dish and it adds a citrus note, and it's delicious. And there you have a delicious meal that's ready in 30 minutes. Plate it and top it with some more parsley and lemon zest and dig in.
Delicious. Adding that lemon zest really adds some brightness, so I would really recommend adding a little bit at the end. Chef's kiss, it's delicious. Let me know how you like it in the comments.